Hi there, Serial Trader here. Let's have a check-in with crude oil. Alright, so since the last video, we continued on and put in this pretty convincing looking 5-wave advance from the bottom here. In the low 64s was where we bottomed. And we actually got above, well above this B-wave extreme and broke multiple resistance levels prior to that. So it looks really good pattern-wise. And obviously broke nicely out of this corrective channel that we were in. So now that we do have a complete looking 5 waves up off the bottom, and we broke above that B wave resistance level, it was not that surprising now that we've put in a temporary top by the looks of it, and now we're coming down in the first retrace down. So to label this, maybe 5 up for a larger 1, okay, and now we have maybe 3 down, possibly in place already for a larger 2, ABC down for 2. And we actually just came down and almost precisely nicked that 618 retracement, which would be a very common, in fact, the most common fib level for a wave 2 retracement. So that's all looking good there. As far as the overall structure goes, still liking it here. Definitely, you can still be bullish against that bottom we have in the 64s. But realistically, once we start convincingly reversing the recent downdraft here, you can now use the low here as a stop if it's in place. Now, not to say that this could just be the initial wave down of potentially a more longer lasting 3-wave decline. But as far as the actual price level goes, it's already retraced an acceptable amount. It's just very sharp as far as the amount of time it consumed. But that's certainly acceptable. And definitely a good place to be averaging into a position here. I know myself, since the last video, I took some profits as we were starting to get a little toppy looking here short term. And now I'm just holding a much smaller position, again with my stop just below the lows down here in the 64s. And I've actually, since taking profit a little higher up there, I've added some contracts in the 67s. I think 67.30 something was the most recent buy I did today. So definitely holding a few long here with that stop just below the wave C bottom here. And then obviously intraday I like to swing larger contract sizes, but just for scalping purposes, for intraday trading. But still liking the idea, very much liking the idea that impulse wave up off the bottom, first correction down, and then after that, whenever we get this all sorted out, we're going to be heading up in the next impulse wave up in a third wave. That should be quite a strong wave if that's the case. And inevitably, you're going to be looking to take out the $75 highs and actually as the last video pointed out on the reverse fib projection here, maybe put some pressure on $80. So let's go to the candlestick chart. Okay, here we go. So you can see the new candle just opened in overnight trading. But so the candlestick from today, pretty decently long lower shadow, so quite a bit of buying the dip going on. After the inventory report seemed to sell off, which is interesting because it was actually a pretty bullish report. It had a larger crude draw than was estimated. But it doesn't really matter what the report says, just matters how they react to it. Just like earnings, you can have great earnings and it can tank after, or you can have terrible earnings, it can shoot up after, you just don't know, or anywhere in between. But also, we've seemed to have reacted off that 20-day simple moving average and closed above it there on today's candle. So that's quite healthy still. And we still, if we had a really deep retracement, this 200-day simple moving average would come into play again, although I don't foresee us going that deep. That would certainly be testing of my confidence on this overall outlook here. But if we can just go to a different chart here, if you have a look at this, so this is the 4-hour chart on the October contract. So that's the current front month contract. Currently, I'm long the October contract, but I'll have to roll over to the next contract, obviously. once we get to the expiration, but we're not there yet. And if you look, we actually are now in the oversold territory, or we were for 4-hour RSI. So that's been pretty good at marking, bottoms on this 4-hour chart. Also, we're nice and oversold on the stochastic and starting to curl back up on the 4-hour. So liking that. Now on the hourly chart. On the hourly chart, same thing. We got very oversold. So yeah, it's a little early to be super high confidence that we've put in our retracement. Although, if we just look at this here, I'll just get rid of that 50% since we got past that. Really liking that reaction off that 618 retracement. So that low we put in today at 67 on the dot, nice round number. That's a potential pivot. Too early to tell. We have to, to start getting confirmation, we have to at least start breaking this initial resistance level, which would come in at 69.02. Let's just call it 69 plus 2 cents, right? And then, we could be confident at that point that we're heading up in the next impulse wave. But definitely a good area to be building the position. Maybe not a full position, but certainly I know I've bought some contracts here in the 67s. I think, like I said before, 67.30 something. It's not a full position, but if I see it starting to get above resistance and, have a smaller time frame, maybe on the 15-minute chart, we start seeing, impulse waves to the upside. That's a sign to, add to that position. If we do go deeper, we have the 786 retracement in play here. And then as I showed in the other chart, that 200-day simple moving average, although that's like undesirably deep at that point. But no, I'm still liking the upside here. I like the look here. Looks like we have a 5 up and 3 down off the bottom. So far so good. We'll certainly check in if anything significant develops. But in the meantime, you can definitely still be bullish against this level, that 64.43. And I know on my positions that I hold overnight, my stop is just below that at 64.42. And then, of course, depending on what I'm doing during the day, I might just be trying to scalp a 15-cent move with 10, 20 contracts or something. So my stops will be completely different for that sort of thing. But yeah, leave that with you. Serial Trader signing off.